Hello and welcome to episode 163 of the Foundry Roundtable, the podcast exclusively covering the Foundry for Star Trek Online. I'm your Tame Foundry author, Drogan1701, and I had an intro all lined up yesterday or something like that, and it has all completely fled my mind. So in lieu of anything funny, we'll just say that first I got actually the episode number wrong. We're 166 now.
It's
clearly yeah, I'm suffering from Bendai syndrome or something.
I was just going to say it's a 7-car thought pileup idea.
Something like that, yeah.
Or temporal aphasia.
Yeah.
Temporal aphasia. There you go. But in any case, obviously here we are on the air, and with me is Markhawkman, Greendragoon, and DuncanIdaho.
Howdy.
Hey.
All right, so another week, another copious amounts of time spent in the summer event, doing silly things, and
silly but fun.
But fun. I always loved the summer and winter events.
I've kind of tapered off this past week, so I seriously dug in. And then now I kind of need to take a little bit of a break from the favor grinding. So I'm just doing the daily. And then I'll get back into it.
That's always good to do. There's no reason to go completely, full on burnout on it. Actually, this weekend I discovered discovered is more of I read this, a post that said this is that, it's the shuttle weekend and the Atmosphere Assault has a really hefty mark payout, so that's what I've been doing.
I have not done a shuttle
like,
one this thing yet.
It's like 300 plus on advanced if you get all of the bonus objectives.
That's a big F.
Yeah, I don't have that kind of luck on the normal.
I don't know. I've been getting some fairly good groups, so it's been working out.
I'll have to take a look at it.
I've been using it to get the competitive marks because, to my great annoyance, they were not added and intentionally not added to the summer event.
Yeah, because I think they're starting to clamp down on those. Like, oh wait, we actually want to make these competitive, but it would be nice if they added those as sort of like a standard, like 5 to 10 mark payout for participation in the races, since those are competitive PEEs.
It would be appropriate.
Yeah, because it also may make those a little bit more interesting, too, just with the fact that you can get a little bit of a something out of them, and it features into a reputation, which is about competition, and, I mean, these are pretty staple events, too, so... Yeah.
On a small side note, I just realized to my horror that this particular character ship is bugged so that you have to have the... quantum slipstream power slotted in your tray in order to cancel it.
Uh-oh.
Actually, that's pretty normal. It always does that.
I know some ships don't have that problem, but I don't know. I don't remember exactly which ones do or why. It's kind of annoying, though.
All right, so let's see. The first thing we were going to do is show off one of Duncan's new Foundry maps.
Yay!
So, are we all here?
Yeah, I believe so.
Wolf 359. Primer is not able to call into the show, but he's going to join us in the map.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
so this will be a good test to see if Foundry teaming works.
That is, yeah.
I will say that the Legion of Myth livestream recently encountered the teaming bug. They had done about a dozen missions, and then Johnny Snowballs just completely hit him with the teaming. So it could be that maybe they just got a good string of luck. Maybe it was just planets aligning.
Maybe it fixed and then it broke again.
And that's what I'm also thinking, is that there was the big summer event update, and that was the sort of before and after. So before the summer event, they were able to do it. Then after the summer event, they weren't able to do it. We're thinking it's like maybe the small auto republish did something on the cryptic server side, and now it's broken again.
I'm actually wondering if maybe it's how quickly the server is able to respond to requests.
So we've got 4. Mark
is still loading.
Yeah. My screen says I'm at 3.6% loaded. So
Anyway, though, the background behind this map is this is nearly completed except for one small little minor detail, and I'll see if you guys notice it. This is Starfleet Security's new headquarters. So, background behind this is a new starbase built around the planet Neptune, where Starfleet Security is going to be handling their new fleet operations and miscellaneous day-to-day stuff. So, getting them off ESD, giving them their own starbase. So we've got.
First of all, welcome to the millionth transporter room that one of us has built, right?
Yep, always a little bit different too. We never
always got to build transporter rooms.
Yeah. Am I the only person who's built a Tholian-themed transporter?
Possibly. So awesome. Kind of like this opening area, kind of modeled off of a little bit of like a airport security checkpoint. So you move through here, and it's a little bit of a lobby. Starships outside. Got a patrol escort. And you guys didn't miss the... Okay, yeah. So you guys missed...
You have a water feature.
I have a water feature, but you guys did miss the one mistake that I found so far on this map. The console above this window is... it got snapped to grid, so it's floating. So I just got to move that back to nuts.
Well, it's good to remember that authors are always way more anal about their missions than their viewers are.
Yeah, and you guys didn't see that one until pointed out. So
I didn't know to look for it.
Yeah,
I like your water
I didn't
feature.
notice there was a console up there.
So there's the water feature.
Or I'm not even now that you pointed out, I'm still not sure that it's actually floating.
You got to swing your camera around, but it definitely
to be able to see it, because otherwise it could just look like it's just pushed out a little bit.
Well, anyway. I'm looking at it from directly underneath it, and it doesn't really look like it's floating.
Yeah, you can't get the final confirmation.
Hard to see,
but it's definitely floating.
Okay, now when I jam my face all the way into the window, then look up, so I'm looking at it a little bit from the back side. Okay, then it looks like it's floating.
The basic point is that it's not good enough.
Luckily, that is an easy fix.
So anyway, though, for this map, we've got this lobby/concourse area, kind of a recreation place for Starfleet security officers with a major water feature. And this did take a long time to build, the water feature, because this is my second attempt on this map. I wasn't happy with the first version, and I tore it all down and built another.
I was just looking at this, looking at the various different pieces of it, and that's pretty good work.
Yeah.
I used one of the Vulcan buildings to get the wooden and the wooden details and the background. Oh, little cat's meowing at me right now.
and a whole bunch of those little stone pillars and columns and things.
Yep, and splashing effects.
I like the lights under the water because like every fountain ever has those.
Yeah, helps light it up too. And then I was just able, I'm at the asset limit. I was just able to put a little bit of ceiling detail in this main area.
To be honest, though, this is the style of map where I wouldn't expect too much in the way of ceiling detail.
There's a few bits, but
this plan is freaking me out, though. I gotta say.
Which one? Oh, the one that keeps
moving.
moving. Yeah, because those do move, and in a very strange way. So I'm just going to assume it's a very strange species. They're happy plants. They want to.
Well, I think it's meant to.
We got an LOD effect here going on because it when you move far away from it, it does not move.
Oh, it's because it's designed to sway when you walk through them, and for some reason, the hit area is much larger than the plant.
See, my assumption of these things, because they've actually been doing that for a very, very long time, is that the plant's trying to eat you. That's all.
Except it's running away from me.
Yeah,
is it running away from you?
Yeah, it's a plant.
Be sure of this.
Yeah. It kind of moves in a semi-random direction. Yeah, but with so many people running around, it's probably getting pretty confused.
Actually, I don't see it moving any of you.
It's a slightly sentient plant.
Yeah.
You know what? This effect you see on it is actually almost exactly the same as what the plants in Champions Online do when you fly a vehicle next to them.
Yeah. And then down here we have our recreation area, and I did build something for Zero.
For Zero or with Zero?
Both. So anyway, we have Dance Revolutionary Zero. Well, I use the Mirror Universe Zero, so the Mirror Universe Dance Instructor, basically. So occasionally she pulls out a weapon and says, I said do the snake! And yeah, some of these officers aren't quite doing it right. It's very complicated.
Sorry, I had the UI turned off so I couldn't see the...
But anyway, that was good fun. And then the rest of the place is basically a kind of just cafe. Also, I do like the, quote Neptune out the window. And occasionally a Olympic class flies by because I got that from the ESD assets.
That is a good use of that skybox.
Yeah.
Because, Neptune's blue and all, so.
Yeah.
Not quite that blue, but whatever.
Yeah. And of course,
how would we know? We've never seen it from this angle before.
This is true.
It's very... Yeah. Well, it's good enough for Neptune in the Foundry.
Yes.
I built a starbase around Neptune. Come on.
We're okay with good enough.
Yeah.
For some things.
I don't know if this has popped up for you guys, but I did put optional dialogue, including a joke menu for the cafeteria.
Okay, so Spiritborn is asking how you get the NPC to do more than one action.
You have to use the legacy NPC contact. You've got one action set for their idle, and then you set another animation for their chat. First, you got enable chat, but once you enable chat, you set a second animation, and then that will always be accompanied by dialogue. But then you just put something in there. Sometimes it could be innocuous. Here I have an actual line.
Okay. So I had forgotten that idle, or that their chat also includes an animation option.
I think most of the different actions that you can make them do, and then it'll just switch randomly between them, and then you can weight them to see how often certain actions occur.
Are we sure it's random and not like on a timer or something?
The duration is timed, but which one will happen next is random.
Yeah, by definition, weighting applies to a random system. So it doesn't necessarily just always cycle completely, but most likely players will see it kind of go from one to the other.
How did you set the weighting? Do you remember?
I kind of just increased doing the snake a little bit, and then the actual line I think was weighted lower. But it's basically I think it's like it'll run through which one to do once the NPC gets out of basically gets out of one animation or the other.
Are you guys seeing these NPCs who are being forced to dance as a Gorn faction?
Oh, yeah, because they are the neutral SARs. So that way I have individual NPCs that don't count towards the contact limit. Because there's lots of NPCs here.
What's next?
So next we've got the last couple of sections over here. So just following across the arc from the lobby, we've got a little bit of an office space. And I see Primar's already found it. So anyway, we've got office in here for the admirals. So nice official. Just click not now. Do not click go to the next map. Because there's the one objective.
The one objective was to walk into this room. Okay, then.
Well, that was for the test map. I took out all the dialogue and mission objectives and all that stuff. So anyway, it's office space here, and then across the way we've got the conference room with a memorial to the USS Hoshito.
Yeah, it's a piece of the burning twisted wreckage.
I've not written the memorial yet.
Yeah. Which if anyone has played the Purity series, it's in my episode, the finale, it's the Starfleet ship that you have to destroy. Around Neptune, actually.
Wait, have to or get to?
Have to.
Oh. From the turbo left.
So I see you extended these walls up a bit, right?
That mean
Server not responding. Let's see. I'm kind of stuck right now, so I think I'm gonna have to relog. Yeah. Anyway, though, for those walls
in the hallway, yeah.
The doors or the walls?
The walls. Is that the whole asset, or is it extended a little bit upwards?
No, that's the whole asset. So the only thing I had to put extensions on are the doors. Yeah, the doors all. Oh wait, crap! I just forgot. I forgot to do. Oh, dang it! That's gonna be a problem. What? The doors, because I had to put additional building block walls above the doors, so they would actually meet up with the ceiling.
Yeah.
But I forgot that I didn't do it for the ones at the end of the hallway or the elevator. And I'm out of assets.
Well, to be honest, the spot right here actually doesn't look bad. It's just like this. Oh, you mean this tiny little gap up at the top?
Yeah, there's a little bit of a gap, but I don't
think a lot of people will notice.
Especially it's in here, and I physically can't do anything about it because I'd have to get rid of stuff, and that would be major art changes at this point.
Well, see, the only way you can actually directly see that it's actually a gap from a distance is to do what I'm doing and like shoot something at it so that you have something to look at behind it.
You can also see it from the parallax.
It kind of blends in to the ceiling because they're fairly close in color.
Gray on gray.
The top of that asset.
And you don't immediately notice which gray is different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's not bad. It's just like, oh crap, I just realized that. So you're getting behind the scenes info. But anyway, though.
So I guess on the other ones it looks like this instead.
Yeah, so on the other ones where it was actually a bit more noticeable because you can go through. I actually put building block walls up there to block that off.
You're probably not going to spend a whole lot of time in that sort of empty corridor there.
No. So anyway,
you're actually playing the mission.
But the actual walls are one of the generic walls, and then I put a series of flipped around ESD large wall consoles, and then supported them with pillar cutouts.
Okay, that's why it looks different.
Hmm.
Yeah,
because you've got this asset in the middle of the wall that makes it look quite different. That's cool.
The little thingies that protrude are kind of. They look different from what you normally see on Starfleet stuff.
It gives it a very different character from if you just had left the walls like they are. Yeah. But it eats up a lot of assets.
It does.
Hey!
Especially when you do it, like for me, I like to do custom lighting in all my maps. So I had to put ceiling lights throughout the entire map as well. Have the fountain... the irregular water plane. Yeah, there was. Yeah. This is why my map has gotten to all the object limits.
Mm-hmm.
So what is causing the
large map?
What's causing the circular light on these wall panels?
That is the light of the wall console itself.
Okay,
so that is their light.
Bouncing on.
It just sort of like from the back, it has this really weird effect. So there's a little bit of a light in front, and then on the back, it looks like that.
Okay, so that's a natural part of the console.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, it's like I didn't put like additional elements throughout that one. The only time I did put additional lights is back in the lobby. I used the suspended ESD lights to light up the walls because those were looking pretty dark. But yeah, anyway, though, this is the first map of the next Starfleet Security mission, and I might use it as like the starting map for the entire season, but we'll see.
Well, let's see if we can go to the next map and let's see what it does to our team.
So right now, because I had to reload the mission.
Yeah, I think you're in a different instance.
Yeah.
Oops.
And I don't know if I'll actually be in the same instance when I go to this.
Starfleet Cadet, who left their sandwich in the repulsor unit?
Because he's trying to fix the
No, it's spelled repulsor. Never mind.
Typo.
1 star.
Yeah.
Broken isn't what you always say is if you ever want to find all the bugs in your mission, have somebody else play it.
Exactly.
The easiest way I found is always to do a team play, and then you have everyone looking at the dialogue simultaneously, and you will almost always have someone go, "Hey, that's wrong."
Watching someone play
Hey,
their mission
we're all
is the
here.
absolute most useful thing.
Yeah, and that's why I've been especially liking the Legion of Myth videos. And if you do have a mission to recommend to those guys, throwing something their way is good because, they've got a good take. So anyway, though,
speaking of them, you said they encountered the teaming bug recently.
Yeah, so I haven't seen it on their. Well, I haven't seen enough their latest episode to see, but yeah, they did Johnny Snowball's Saving Gideon Blast of the Past, and they had the teaming bug there. But it's one of those things where it's just like we're not seeing it over 2 maps, so it's just we don't know enough about what's going on to be able to say, is it here, is it gone, what's going on? So
Yeah.
I just say we'll keep an eye on it as we go on in the future.
I've always suspected that it was largely a matter of server latency, and that it was happening because the server just couldn't stuff you into the instance fast enough.
Yeah, possibly, but again, we don't really know. So anyway, the this map is actually not the Starfleet Security base, but this is sort of the first place you go to throughout the course of the mission. It is a starbase in a relatively uncharted part beyond the quadrant map.
Well, I noticed that you used the same style of space station props I did for the Betarana station. It's just you only use the ones that are the repair. Well, okay, you have one of them that's not a repair thingy, but
Duncan, what's this alien ship you've got going on here?
Which alien ship? The one over by you. That's a hierarchy battlecruiser.
Okay.
Yeah, basically, no one's ever seen that one up close, except rare blowing it up.
It's in patrols, and it's in a few things in Delta Rising.
But
I see this thing labeled an alien cruise liner or something.
Generic, one of the generic ships.
Well, just noticing it's the faction listed as Alien Ship Disruptor.
That's an interesting one because they're all contact NPCs.
Huh.
I just noticed something about this alien cruise liner ship. If you look at the outer hull really close, it has those semi-triangular hatches, which in TNG on the Enterprise D were the escape pods.
Yeah, it's using the windows and skins on most starships also includes escape pods, at least for the Federation, and they will basically track with Windows style. So it's using the Type 1 window style, so the escape pods are going to correspond to that.
Which is interesting because it makes it look like a Federation thing.
Yeah, but keep in mind, it's one of the generic ships, so it's when Cryptic was just getting started.
Yes.
So do you intend this to be a Federation station, or is it independent?
Nope, this is alien independent, new faction. Not the main one, but it's basically you go to an alien trading station to continue the investigation. Very not too far off the map, but off the map.
I have to say, I've always liked using this flat transwarp gate thingy as a piece of a space station. It just makes sense.
Yeah. And then I did
as we recall, I believe Dragoon used it as part of his Midas array, didn't he?
Probably.
Yeah.
I thought it was like 8 of them or something like that. I don't remember exactly.
Well, of course, you rebuilt it after a while, so
I've rebuilt it several times.
Yeah, the whole Midas array mission, that was just one of those really, really old missions that it's been around so long that
there's a lot more stuff you can use now than there used to be when you first built it.
The current one should look more like the actual Midas array. I think I just kind of gave up and the first time and said close enough.
The actual Midas array was a bunch of solid panels. It didn't have those little cutout holes in the middle.
Yeah. So I was going to say on this map, I'm currently using the default Zarya backdrop lighting because the beautiful lighting I had set up for this map, which was so awesome, it doesn't work. At least between the
Now
others.
that said, I like how it looks.
Yeah.
This is
So
nice.
Zarya,
I think this is a good backdrop.
Yeah, I mean, and it does provide a slight twinge of color on the generic no directional lighting ambient that we get now in the Foundry space.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is basically as best I can do with the station now. So it works, but yeah, it really does not. Like, I gotta put some screenshots of what I had running because that was. Oh, I figured out how Cryptic did the lighting in Survivors. So what they did was that there's a ambient specularity. Oh crap! I think it's called specularity or it's something else. It's the backdrop for the Undine that only provides the additional visual effect. It doesn't provide a backdrop. So it corresponds, supposedly to fluidic space. But if you put that as a custom backdrop with another backdrop that has directional lighting in the editor, the lighting effect is very, very close to what you saw at the start of Survivor. So you get basically the god rays. And that's what this asteroid field was for, just to show that off. But of course, it doesn't show up now.
So, question: why are there 4 planetary objects?
It's a gas giant system. So you have the gas giant and a bunch of moons.
Oh. Are they supposed to be habitable moons? Because, well,
I'm
not sure.
They don't look pleasant.
No. So you have 2 class D and then a class K or something. So something Titan-esque.
Mm-hmm.
Bit bigger, but yeah.
I'll tell you what I really like about that Zarya backdrop is if you look at from where I'm at right now, and probably most of the map, it looks like the rings disappear into a cloud or something.
Yeah.
Well, until you get close to them, at which point you see them.
Yeah,
again.
I mean it would, but from over here by the station.
Yeah. Yeah, and most players won't be, none of the objectives have players going as far as Marcus right now.
See, the reason why I came over here is I love the particle effect you get when you fly through the rings.
I do like that too. I've set a few maps in that area just to have that effect while there's a fight going on.
And Epoch Part 2 also will take advantage of that.
So what's up with these things attached to the asteroids?
Those are additional mining stations, and those are actual Foundry pops.
Well, there's definitely a way to build a good-looking space station. Is basically take a lot of smaller ones and put them together to make one big one.
When I was making the what are those guys called again? Kazon. The Kazon space station I built for New Compa New Year. It was actually a rather simple build. I took 3 different one of those things that were attached to asteroids, rotated them so they were facing different directions, and then just stuck the asteroids inside each other.
Yeah. And then the massive space relics I use for Eon. Pretty much just Eons at this point. I used the giant Risa stations, built a giant cornucopia just by copying those and rotating, and then put planets above and below. So you get a giant dumbbell.
That's...
I've seen your screenshots of that.
Yeah. Not the actual mission, Drogon?
What's that?
Oh, you haven't played the actual mission yet?
I don't play Foundry missions. What are you talking about?
This reminds me. Ricky Smith created a little Facebook channel for people who need to get some plays on their missions to get them out of review status.
Yeah.
That's good.
People also post on the forums too, so definitely keep an eye out there. And also Twitter, when someone say Johnny Snowball makes a mission, definitely make sure you play it. Especially, Johnny Snowball. Because it's Johnny Snowball, come on.
Speaking of ways to get the word out about Foundry-related things, Dragoon has been hard at work on something that we'd like to announce that we're doing tonight. So go ahead, Dragoon.
Okay.
This is work in progress.
This kind of ties into another big announcement that I have, and that is that a Foundry Roundtable is returning to iTunes, which all the people who listen via iTunes probably can't hear this, but I know there's a few people out there who really prefer just having us as an audio format that they can listen to as they go about their day. And so I have been working to get the iTunes feed back up and running. And as a byproduct of that, I needed to get some kind of a RSS-based web presence going. And one thing led to another, and soon I found that I had created an entire website.
Sounds normal.
So yeah, that's ended up being all I did Saturday, and so this is. I didn't want it to look like crap, which is what it looked like when it was just a quick little WordPress powered thing, and so I kind of found this hosting service that had actually a very nice website editor, and so I built this up in probably about 4 or 5 hours. And so it has at the moment it's only got 2 of the episodes. It's only got episodes 161 and 162, but my goal is to get all of the episodes since then loaded up, as well as our other shows. And then this is what the iTunes feed reads off of. So we're still kind of trying to figure out what we want to do, but we are talking about doing things like guides. So, I mean, as many people know, Starbase UGC died some time ago, and we've been kind of without a hub for the Foundry since then. So what we're thinking about doing is kind of going into the Internet Archives and digging out some of the guides that existed on there, and maybe put a little spit and polish on them and make them look nicer.
Yeah, we'll want to make sure that we update them and so that everything is to par with the current version of the Foundry.
Yeah.
I'll update everything to remove all of the references to things that aren't there anymore.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, we're not quite ready to launch this just yet, but it's coming along nicely, and so hopefully in the not too distant future we'll put this out. We might even try to get the Foundry Roundtable domain name, and hopefully have like a place that people can come to not only check out our episodes, but also find useful things for working in the Foundry.
Yay.
And obviously placed a link to great things like foundrymissions.com or Pax Federatica's blog or anything else we can think of.
One thing that's I just suddenly noticed about this space station design is that when you look at it from this angle, it doesn't look like there's much holding it together.
Which angle's that?
Directly from the side.
Oh yeah, it's a spindly space station.
Well, you build things differently in space.
It kind of looks like instead of turbo lifts, they use site-to-site transporters.
Yeah, basically, or just basically, that's what you're seeing are basically turbo lift shafts, like 1-to-1. But yeah, in space, you don't really need load-bearing structures.
Well, if you're orbiting a gas giant, maybe, because there's that whole, whatever.
Depends on how close you are.
Yeah. Actually, probably technically orbiting that moon there rather than the gas giant.
Well, that actually makes it worse because then, depending on which point in your orbit you are, you're being tugged at by the gas giant or not.
It's only a real problem if you're too close to either.
Yeah, but anyway, though, that's also a problem for certain materials. It's space. The future.
Also the future.
You can even make it a plot point.
Yeah.
I'm not spending that much time. Actually, no. I've got different plot points here.
It's not like Starfleet ships are particularly structurally sound, anyways.
Yeah.
Not always.
No. Especially like the Enterprise.
I just thought of something interesting. Did we get the multi-mission science ships in the Foundry?
Not the Fed, but the other ones.
Not the Fed ones, but we got the other ones.
I'm actually using one of the other ones for a miscellaneous alien vessel later on in the mission.
I mean, we do have the original Vesta class, though.
Yeah. It doesn't have the new parts, but we do have the multi-mission science vessel, and the Vesta is a pretty good-looking variant. Or the Adventime, specifically.
My favorite one of them, though, is the Romulan one.
That one we do have.
Yeah.
It's like a T6 Dakir, but it's built by Romulans.
So, let's see. Dragoon mentioned that he had had a productive week in the Foundry.
Yes.
Would you like to tell us about it?
I would. As soon as I load up... No, I'm trying to load up screenshots.
Screenshots.
Or a screenshot.
Proof.
Okay, so yes, I actually committed and fired up the Foundry editor and ended up going back into my my refugee colony, which is one of the maps that I have in there. And I've shown work on this before. I think we even went as far as to kind of run around it at some point. I don't know if you guys remember it.
I think so.
But I've always been it's always not quite been where I want it to be, because I want this colony to feel like it's a place that people were forced to be and crammed in, not a place that is like well designed. And so towards that end, I've actually been kind of looking for inspiration, and this is kind of what prompted me to kind of start working on this particular map again. See if I can pull up the shots here.
And while Dragoon's doing that, and I'll cue you guys into one last detail on this one. The quote internal name I've had for this starbase is Snowflake Station.
It does kind of look like a snowflake, yes.
I'm debating whether or not to make that
look at it
joke.
from above, yeah.
Yeah. Especially like the original design was just the one ring, then I had the two rings, so it's still Snowflake Station to me.
Well, I mean, you know,
There
are snowflakes that are in that shape, so hey.
Yeah, probability-wise.
You could always do one of those things where this is station X71195B. We just call it the Snowflake.
I was just going to have one of the Starfleet Security characters just hail them and just like, Snowflake Station, da-da-da-da-da. And then the locals get mad.
All right, so... show this over here. So this is what's known as the Kowloon Walled City. It's a structure that used to exist in Hong Kong before the British handed it over to the Chinese. And for a while, it was kind of a no man's land, not technically part of Hong Kong, but at the same time not part, or basically cut off from China. So it was kind of lawless, and so it also kind of became a place where anyone trying to get away from an official authority would squat. And so over like half a century of time, they just kept building on top of it until there was this massive monstrosity of a structure. And I mean, it was a really cool, disgusting and gross place, but still cool. And it's kind of some photos from what it looked like inside. And so I've been kind of going to this for inspiration. And so while I can't make it this compact, because your boss would never be able to navigate that, I have been kind of looking at it for inspiration. So a lot of like the hanging pipes and the wires everywhere. And so this is kind of what I've been working on, is kind of a refresh to that idea. And so what I'm doing here is I've got the I think it's the just destroyed Fed buildings, or the Fed ruins. And then on top of them, I've added like the colony buildings to kind of show that stacked up. So the destroyed Fed buildings, I mean, kind of looked like that rundown. This was built for something else, but has since kind of fallen into disrepair. And then as refugees have come here, they just keep building on top of it, just to kind of find space for everyone.
Yeah, it's I guess it's kind of like one person builds something, and instead of repairing it, the next person who comes along builds something different on top of it.
It's the Ankh-Morpork style of city planning.
Yeah. So, well, I think complete lack of city planning would be more accurate.
Just keep building them all on top of it.
Yeah. So, I mean,
who needs that?
So I'm really like, this was kind of a prototype I did. So really, this particular build only has just this little alleyway and it turns a corner and then there's nothing. But it's just kind of a proof of concept to say, okay, how can this design work? And so kind of adding these two things in, you kind of gets more of that lived-in feel that I was looking for, that I was kind of not feeling in the previous maps. But at the same time, because I'm stacking buildings, it's eating up my building limit faster. And so it's caused me to really have to start to think about how do I want to arrange this? Because, I mean...
You've got to think about what you want your playable space to be, and then make sure you have enough to be able to build around that.
One of the things I've loved to do... in my more recent builds is try to work in some kind of verticality, especially in my city maps. So I kind of did that with the San Francisco map and EVA resolutions. And so with this one, I also I don't want it to all be on one level. So I wanted you like to descend. And the way I'm kind of seeing is I would love to be able to, where you start off, I want you to be able to see kind of an overarch of the city. So kind of get an idea of what this place looks like from high above. And so you end up going down to where the government that runs this and meet with the elders there. And then eventually a chase ensues. And I'm skipping over details, so I'm not to try not to spoil anything. A chase ensues and
yes, of course,
leads you like deep into the underbelly. So it finally ends when the person you're chasing is trapped, and you corner him. And so I wanted to have that kind of a, but making that kind of descent requires space. So I mean, you have to.
Yeah.
And so it's trying to find a way to get that descent in a fast enough space that you can get to the end of the map before I run out of buildings, but at the same time, not
have
so
it feel
fast,
natural and organic.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of thinking is that you could sort of you could have a section of the map for part of the chase that you can see the city, you can see everything around you. But then for part of the chase, up to leading to the conclusion, you could have that as a dilapidated interior structure, kind of playing off of those other images that you have for design inspiration.
That's a good idea.
Sort of work it both ways, where you can go really building heavy for the first part, and then for the second part, you're using a lot more assets, a lot more close interior structures.
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea, because then I can switch out. I don't have to build the second layer if I do that, like I am in the earlier city where you can see out. Thanks. That's actually... I hadn't quite thought of that.
Yeah, and that also will sort of vary the architectural styles too, which just adds more eye candy.
Yeah, but I mean, I want to maintain that the dirty, grungy look.
Oh yeah, and so you can do that through like the overhanging piping. You can do. You got a few types of that, and then the wires. I do like also the use of the colony lighting, specifically the ones with the tarp between them. That I think that looks really good for grunge.
Actually, funny thing,
miscellaneous ship debris.
Well, one thing I've always thought about with making things look dirty and grungy is that if it's uniformly so, it's less noticeable. So if you have certain things that are kind of shiny, but still not really all that shiny, and then you have something that just looks like it's covered in dirt, it just makes it stick out more.
So essentially, you want the same level of dilapidation throughout the whole map, rather than any particular sections that look cleaner than others, unless there's a story reason for that.
No, I definitely want to maintain the dilapidation. In fact, if at all possible, I mean, I would have like piles of refuge down in the lower levels and make it look even more like a place you don't want to be.
A level of degradation that keeps on getting enhanced as you go lower.
I want to show a picture here that I found.
Was an interesting thing that they always had in the Star Wars novels about Coruscant, because of course it's one big city, and the lower you got, the worse it is.
Well, one thing I always wondered about Coruscant is, like, is there a planetary core left?
Probably, because it's just based on. It's based on Asimov's Trantor, so that was basically just you have the city, it burrows down, but it's not it's a completely different engineering problem.
And of course, there's been lots of different
to actually hollow out
of
a
it
planet.
earlier.
Yeah, because it's the relative difference between the surface area to a volume of a planet. There's a lot more building involved to actually hollow that thing out.
One thing that I've never tried building in Foundry, but it was an idea that popped into my head a long time ago, was the idea of... Well, see, I kind of got the idea from seeing proposals for the International Space Station. The idea was that... The real-life idea, that is, was that, someone would just, like, put up this little, like, small habitat module and then just, like, slowly build things adding onto it and making it bigger over time. Well, the idea I had, though, is that you have this race who, like, they have this, like, research starbase that, they just, like, slowly add things to over a few thousand years. And then after time has passed, and it's been like, say, 2,000 years down the road or something, you have this gigantic Death Star-sized monstrosity.
So I want to show a screenshot, and this is from a different game, and I'm actually not 100% sure which game this is from. I kind of just found it in a Google image search. But this is another... This is another video game that's also clearly kind of based on the Kowloon walled city, but this is kind of their own interpretation, and I liked a lot of the elements of it. Again, you still have that verticality. And
it's Guild Wars.
Okay.
The original.
I really like that.
I've spent a lot of time on that map. I can tell you.
So I kind of want to do this.
That.
I don't want to do the same thing with the waterfalls, and so this like central pit, and so that it kind of gives that impression that the city goes down further than it actually will on the map. And so that's kind of something I've thinking about. But again, it's a lot of design challenges to try and reconcile on the Foundry editor, and so.
Yeah. Well, as we've said on many occasions before, the illusion of perfection is often more important than actual perfection.
Yeah.
I'm now wanting to build a slum city inside a former mining quarry. Dang it. So many new build ideas.
Yeah. But anyway, so I've been doing a lot of research for that. I mean, obviously I've been starting to build. I've kind of started a couple builds, and I haven't quite figured out how the best way to get what I need within the asset limit yet, but it's something I'm continuing to work on.
Yeah, it does look like you're off to a really good start there, especially with the design inspiration.
Yeah, I mean, this mission in particular, it kind of feels like I've got this responsibility to just make it like the absolute grandest finisher that I can. So it definitely leads to a lot of perfectionism.
That's kind of why I moved on from finishing off Epoch Part 2 to doing another Starfleet Security mission. Because it's like, I kind of need a little bit more writing experience under my belt to be able to really finish off Epoch the way I wanted it to. So I'm kind of getting back into the swing of things with a Starfleet Security mission that's a little bit more irreverent. Yeah. Let's just say on this map, there's going to be a gladiatorial match that you will not see coming. Just walking
Well,
in,
that sounds
expecting
hilarious.
something completely different. All of a sudden, it's like, oh wait, I'm in a pit arena, kind of Sompek style.
This is the part where I feel the need to point out that my character has been carrying around a sword the entire time, just because she is waiting to stab someone with it.
And Duncan will fulfill that wish.
Yes, at some point, yes, in the future. So anyway, though, so we've got the problems with the space map lighting, but fortunately, I've kind of locked in the lighting system styles for these two maps, the two space maps in this mission. So I guess it's all good to go. So right now, it's just finishing up. Right now, I've not built any of the interior of the Starbase. I've been kind of working on exactly how to do that in the best way possible. Like, what section of the Starbase do I want to show off? I know I've got two different rooms that I know I've got to be able to include on that, and some interior promenade / cargo space.
Oh, and since I'm sure at least one of our viewers is wondering why you would want to have an engineer using melee attacks, I found that it's the best way to get enemies to hold still while you drop mortars on their heads, stab them in the face.
Yep. Duncan, weren't you just talking about setting up a melee character?
Yep, I got a melee. I brought my melee science character along just in case we actually got up to some combat later on. But yeah, I've set that up for science, and that's working out fantastically. I'm using the Furiodon fangs. Let's see. So on the build, exothermic induction field, and cold fusion flash for ranged attacks. For melee boosting, I've got hypospray dialovine, and then also the passive dialovine drip, which both increase physical melee damage and maximum hit points. So that's how I'm getting the melee buffs. And then what's making it really work is something from one of the, I forget which lockbox it's from. I just picked it up from the exchange. Stabilized fold space transporter.
Oh yeah, that's a fun toy.
Yeah. So for melee, after a second charge up, it teleports you behind your target, and then it gives you a crit damage and severity buff.
Wow.
It's basically go nuts.
It's like you thought you were outside melee combat range, but really, no.
Yeah. So I'm finding melee is working fantastically well because you get all the melee buffs with the dialovine stuff, and then you can compensate for being a melee character with exothermic induction field and then cold fusion flash.
Sounds like
Wait,
fun.
exo or endo?
Exo. Well, I can do endo too, but they do the same thing. It's just exo has a little bit.
No. Endo slows down your enemies so that they can't run away as fast.
Cold fusion flash does that too. Endo does more damage, causes DOT effects, which this also does two things too.
So
I get molten slag balls coming out of this one from a dot.
With the other.
Yeah, I do. I got the cold.
There's several ways to do this, obviously.
Yeah, I got the cold effect. I've got the cold effect. That's cold fusion flash. It doesn't share cooldown with Exo, so I can just hit them with both. They're on fire. They're freezing. Best of both worlds. Lots of damage. All
right. So let me tell you what I did actually this morning. So on a previous show, I asserted that Powerboards work on the old Ryza map in the Foundry. Sadly, they do not. I went in and tested it because I thought I'd be clever and build us a racetrack or something to run on today's. But sadly, Powerboards do not work on the old Ryza map in the Foundry. They work on the in-game version. You know, when you beam down to the old map instead of the new resort, you can go play on your Powerboard there. But Foundry version, not so much.
It would have been possible to build us a floaty course.
It would have been, yes, and we could still do that sometime.
Yes. We need explosions.
But I wanted Powerboard.
Starships, and a bunch of hoops.
Yeah, I could see building a floater course. That could be fun.
Yeah. Especially like at a certain point, like you're just flying over enemies and they're trying to shoot you down. Because when you get into combat, it's just like you're not kicked out. You can actually fire back.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I did not know that.
Yeah, Trident Part 1 allows floaters in that first map. So you can, on that first map, run around with a weapon and then basically emulate that one bit in The Simpsons where Homer imagines himself on... I have no idea what the context for this one was, but it was just completely non sequitur where Homer imagines himself with a glider flying over a futuristic city, and he has a laser gun. You can basically do that in the Foundry. You can run, but you can't glide.
All right. Well, I'll see what I can do about that for next one.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, feel free on that one to include combat NPCs.
Interesting.
An additional hazard.
Be like, I don't know, jetpack rangers in the 25th century. You can go real old school sci-fi on this one.
Yeah, if someone wants to go ahead and do that Captain Proton Foundry mission.
There you go. Colorized Captain Proton.
Sir, just a long, tearful explanation from
the 70s revival of Captain Proton.
Oh, God. Yeah.
This actually reminds me of something that's kind of annoyed me for a long time, but sadly it seems that we're stuck with it, is that there's a lot of costumes where it's like with my character, is that the main bulk of her costume, I actually attempted to make it pure white. It doesn't look that way, but
Now you can't get a pure white skin tone either, because I was trying to make Jayla from Star Trek Beyond, and yeah, it just doesn't work.
Try slightly blue shaded.
Yeah, slightly blue shaded.
Well, what I was getting at with this fun discussion, though, is that in theory you could attempt to replicate the black and white look by creating characters with only shades of gray used in their palette, except that there's so many different things in the game that have like inherent tinges to them that it doesn't come out white.
You'd have to pick and choose your costumes very carefully.
Yeah, and also
this one works.
Your Foundry assets too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like with this armor my character is wearing here, is that mostly it just looks kind of like dingy and stuff, except for this one bizarrely placed green panel that's stuck to my shoulder that I can't change the color of.
Trying to think. I mean, there are a lot of things that are varying shades of gray in the Foundry as far as assets go. Floors and walls and
science machinery.
We actually
science machinery is kind of green.
We actually do have a set of consoles in the Foundry still that don't have colored text on them. It's just like white or gray text.
Yeah.
There's the science machinery bits I'm thinking of are labeled like science machinery, and they are completely gray because they're sort of like the more abstract art ones, not the ones that
I think I remember what you're talking about.
The ones that I basically, if I need a crazy advanced alien civilization console, I'll use Science Machinery 04. Just watch for it. You can
build yourself a whole ground map with only the gray rocks.
Oh yeah, you can.
It'd be really cheap looking, like they would, back on an old TV show.
Exactly, and then like if necessary, you can throw in a few foundation blocks.
Yeah, because there's gray ones there.
The gray ones, the black ones.
We also have some gray floor panels too. Yeah.
At the very least, you can sort of like have this chart out as a gray stone, and then you move to the next area, and then there's a holodeck malfunction, and everything then changes to color.
So it's like Pleasantville.
Possibly.
The only
Anyone
thing
remembers that movie?
We're missing that would really, really sell it is gray plants. I don't think we have any of those.
That's a question. Yeah. You'd have to go looking through the asset list.
Yeah, I'm not. There might be some in the high detail, like ones that count for high detail objects. Maybe some of the moon ones. I know some of the Cicontra plants. It's like just basically a big stick and doesn't have any color, or doesn't have much.
Most of the
ones
not
a traditional plant.
Most of the ones that I can think of glow in weird colors in the moon category. Now, if it like glowed white, that would be fun.
Now, the old Elite Force, the Voyager game from the early 2000s. They came out with a little expansion pack, and it included a holodeck program for Captain Proton.
Oh, actually, wait, plant. Swamp grass. You got to hide the brown dirt, but it's pure white grass.
Wow, did we just commit to making a Captain Proton mission?
Potentially.
No, we did not.
No,
not at all.
I want someone to try. That's for sure.
I want to try now.
Test possibilities.
I
can hop into the Foundry and try right now.
All right, yeah, let's do that. Let's get in the Foundry and let's see what we can make for a little Captain Proton stuff here. And obviously, we're not going to go very far with it, but we'll see what we can do.
Closing off on this one.
Look around.
Topic time. Do we want to say anything more about the space sliding and creepy cum Foundry bugs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as you're loading up the Foundry here, obviously we have many compounding Foundry bugs lately. It seems like perhaps more than usual. I don't know.
Most than I've since my 2 years of working in the Foundry. It is more than ever. For like the past 6 months or so since we got back from basically we got back from Lighting 2.0. So that's kind of where a lot of stuff crept in with the editor. And then now we've been kind of with those and then also with the space lighting problems. So space lighting is like really hurt. I think it probably is hurting us a bit because our missions really don't compare in space to anything anything else in SNO. So it's kind of like it's sort of unavoidably, it looks like we aren't putting time into our space maps. So they all pretty much look a little cheap, a little sort of rushed, and definitely that doesn't reflect the time that's being put into them, especially from authors. I noticed this on Johnny Snowball stuff where it's like, wait, no, I know Johnny Snowball, did some really good stuff on this one, and then the map lighting was just completely flat. So it's like, oh, it's really not helping the Foundry. But then for the series bugs, it was all applied to the editor. So we've got the one where objective triggers will randomly sort of cop out. So you'll be testing a mission, you'll get to an objective trigger with a bunch of other things associated with it, and then nothing happens. So you got to play around with the story tab to be able to move on from that. You got to put in a dialogue pop-up basically just to do something that then breaks that particular objective out of its bug state. And then we also can't do map transition, so it's hard to see a mission from beginning to end until you play it. And I found it doesn't necessarily hurt moment to moment Foundry building, but it does sort of put the burden of testing a mission to completion and seeing how the whole thing works out until the very end of the project. And for me, it's also pretty difficult to work with because I kind of don't know how everything's shaping up until I've built it. And it does feel different with how the story beats are working, how certain information is being presented to the player, and then what they're sort of going through moment to moment. So it's like we can kind of work around it, but they're compounding and making missions a lot more difficult to both present and to get out there. So it's getting to the point where the Foundry does need some dev time.
The biggest annoyance for me, as I mentioned in the past, is the one where you can't test map transitions. It just doesn't work right.
Yeah. And that's what I was talking about with not being able to see a mission from beginning to end until it's all done. And then it's hard to make major pacing changes at that point because you've built everything, all the dialogue's in. So you're either having to scrap large sections of it or kind of work within what you have. And I know for my most recent mission that did come into, I did have to make pretty big story changes right at the end because I was able to see how things were coming together. Mm-hmm. Only at the end of the project where I was able to actually put a published testable mission out there.
Well, see, part of the reason why that's so annoying for me is that it prevents your Foundry character from ever doing any map transitions. I mean, it's not just because if you do the whole play from start of the mission thing, you go to where the mission starts, you read the dialogue that pops up when you go to start the mission, then you have to swap back to the editor and then back to the mission again, just to play the first map of the mission.
Yeah, and like as far as like in moment-to-moment editing, usually when you're doing a lot of the testing, you're working on one map only. So I guess it's kind of the one that's the most livable. I mean, it does prevent, any sort of major leveling on Foundry characters. It's really tough if you need to do anything with those to get them to a little bit more playable state for testing purposes. But yeah, the objective one is sort of the one that's hitting the editor most, because you got to do a lot of shit. Like you got to, you actually do troubleshooting steps to get a testable sequence. So to actually be able to test, you need to start doing stuff with the story editor. And I think that might make it, especially for new players, I think that might make the Foundry almost unapproachable if they don't work through that troubleshooting. I know Bloodleaf in our chat was able to get around that. But yeah, that might hurt us over the long term, especially with recruiting new authors in the community, because you got to know how to work around it just to be able to get your mission to test. Otherwise, you're basically not testing until you publish something, and that's not going to be good for the quality of the mission.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's definitely a general problem, is that if people have to learn a list of workarounds just to be able to do a basic mission, that's nah.
Yeah, so that's it's sort of like the seasoned authors can work with it, but it's definitely something that should be resolved, because otherwise the Foundry is kind of going to stagnate a little bit, because we won't have new people coming in, or at least new people.
A reduced number,
except
for those it's that much more difficult.
Yeah, and then I think the space lighting too. It's going to be harder to get people interested in the Foundry if all our space maps look pretty bad. I mean, that's just where the lack of directional lighting. I mean, it's basically our maps they all look rushed. And then the last one is the lack of the top 3 system. And I know that's basically, if you don't have a spotlighted mission yet, it's going to, I don't see how players are going to be able to really pull in a lot from their missions, because right now everything's locked off. And I've even had to correct on 2 separate occasions people who thought the entire Foundry system was down because they weren't seeing maps in the sector block. Like, since we got the top 3, that's been a huge way people have been finding missions, and we don't have that right now. We haven't had that.
I mean that was the entire point behind top 3, was to make it easier for people to get missions.
Yeah, and without that, I mean, it's basically we're down to spotlight, and then random, basically finding missions from spotlighted authors, and then people who happen to have missions in the hot or the new tabs. So there's a very, very tiny window now for getting a published mission out, and then having people take notice of that, see it, and that's going to be even more difficult, especially for a new author, to get any attention, because otherwise they're basically going to have to go through word of mouth on Twitter or the forums, and that's not. I mean, you might get a little bit of attention and interest, but you're really not reaching out to a wider audience. It's basically the seasoned hardcore Foundry people. So right now, the Foundry basically works for us, and then people are playing the spotlights. But we do need time and attention to be able to get it back into shape where it's a general STO community thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is basically back where it was before the top 3.
Yeah, and then
which wasn't really a good place to be.
No, and then it's in addition to a bunch of editor bugs and space sliding. Not having that, so we're at a low point, I'd say, right now in the Foundry. So definitely for people who are listening and doing Foundry stuff, make sure that you're playing new missions, you're giving feedback to new authors, encouraging them to continue working, and then doing what you can to sort of encourage people to take an interest in the Foundry, not search through the missions as best they can with the mission journal UI, and let Cryptic know that this Foundry is something that you want to see supported. So definitely, people listening, people in the community, make sure that you're participating with Foundry missions, encouraging authors, because I know one of the missions that I definitely want to give a huge shout out to, because it's one of my favorite missions in a very long time, is Johnny Snowball's latest. And it has, between the KDF and the Fed version, like 4 plays.
That kind of sucks, yeah.
And this mission does not deserve it. It's one of my favorite missions in a long time. And we'll do a few full review on a later date. It's called A Smuggler's Life for Me. It's a Smuggler RP mission. So you kind of think like, oh, my character doesn't work for that. No. Just play it. It's basically Firefly in Star Trek Online, but funnier. Oh, and Johnny Snowball did a great job, and the last map is absolutely fantastic, and it's got one of my favorite gameplay bits of all time in the Foundry, and it's partially because it's Johnny Snowball doing it, but it's one of my favorite missions now, and because of the problems we're having the Foundry, it's not getting played. And for me, that's pretty disappointing because it's like, this is the stuff that it's basically that we're trying to play, that we're trying to get people interested in. And right now we're sort of not in a good shape for any of that.
Yep.
So anyway, I noticed you built something.
Yeah, I made a black and white person.
Yay.
And stuck him in a box, which is not quite as black and white as I would like. I might switch over to... I think it could work for
I've also been working on one. You guys are right about that slightly blue texture or color.
Oh yeah, to get the
the white skin tone. Yeah.
I shall start working on a Dr. Chaotica type character.
There you go. If anyone can make one, it's you.
I got slightly sidetracked and decided to run around the Nopada desert for several minutes. This will be the Foundry version of Nopada, though, and one of the things I was specifically attempting to test is whether or not the map still has those annoying invisible walls in it. My conclusion so far is no, which is good.
I'd be a little surprised if they just disappeared.
Well, see, what it is that in the non-Foundry version of Nopada, you're stuck in the bottom of the valley, and there are invisible walls preventing you from leaving the valley. Originally, it had those in Foundry too, but not now, apparently, which is good. Also, it has a weird form of water in it that I don't think is a placeable asset because it's like this slimy green color. I don't remember us having one of those.
Nope, it's baked into that map.
So there's some interesting things that I'm finding on different costume pieces that essentially will not turn black or white. Like the Captain Picard's little sweatshirt that he always wore sometimes with the jacket. It's TNG Command variant. It won't go anything other than brown. When you actually select,
what palette?
That's a mislabeled color. Actually, if you select actual gray colors, then it actually turns gray.
Huh.
Okay, you know what? Go ahead and hit duplicate costume, and then on the second one, see if it has the same color palette, same effect. Because if you change from one costume piece or piece of just anything that has one color palette, and then switch to a different costume piece that has a completely different color palette, it'll basically be bugged out, and you'll still be selecting from the first one, or actually, you'll be selecting from the second one with the UI from the first one.
That's
so
weird.
It gets completely screwed up. So you can either duplicate the costume or just restart the other. Both will get you there. So anyway, though, it's just something that it's like you'll notice when it's like the colors aren't behaving the way you think they should. Yeah, that's what's going on.
Yeah, that's fixed it essentially. So Dragoon is testing some various assets here.
Yeah,
to see what ones look nice and gray.
Just trying out a few things. Apparently, getting the guy to look black and white was the easy part. So, something I kind of wanted to mention, Duncan, is that we used to have a master Foundry bug list, and this was nice because even at the time the QA guy, crud, I'm forgetting his name.
Well, there used to be Farktoid.
Yeah, not Farktoid. After Farktoid, the one married to Kestrel.
Brand Frakes?
No, he wasn't the
No.
QA guy. He was the
Okay,
Frost.
Cryptic Frost, that was it.
Yeah, that guy.
Okay, so
There you
that's
go.
looking nice what you've got there.
I just thought of something. Do we have a placeable campfire asset?
Yes.
Yeah, I was just wondering because I found the one that Slimek builds in Coliseum.
So, yeah, it's not a perfect black and white, but it's a passable black and white.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to the editor.
If only we could have the.
So
Theme music.
what tree is that?
It's one of the swamp trees.
Trees, okay. And then got some grass there.
Yeah, so it's a swamp tree L05 with grass, swamp grass S01. Just gonna duplicate this a bunch of times.
One thing that
Swamp Rock XL01 might work too.
one thing that I just thought of is that let's see here. Well, I should look at this quick. Let's just double check and see if it's as monochromatic as I remember it being. Because I have the ice cave things, but I don't remember how much of that is like actual like
They are a
white.
bit blue, as I recall.
Yeah, they're pretty blue.
Designing a Dr. Chaotica type character is taking a little bit longer because AEI Judge Cat wants attention.
Well, you got to keep the AI Judge Cat appeased.
Yep.
Especially since
Rounding
we haven't
division.
actually needed to use them.
No, people just need to vote for a tie. And
We
if something
have
weird happens,
Genuinely not had any ties on our two challenges.
Oh, we've only
that
had
done.
2 challenges, so
Yeah.
now moving forward, do we want to start thinking about 26th century?
Yeah. Definitely. Because we'll be wanting to. It'd be good to be in a place where we could start that right away after whatever the next downtime is. Season 14 or whatever.
Yeah. Excellent.
But yeah, we'll definitely be working on that in coming weeks here.
Oh,
Okay, so
to be honest, this Ice Caves map is actually reasonably monochromatic. Like you said, there's a blue tinge to the walls, but that's not bad. The main thing with it, though, is the simple fact that it comes with these baked-in glowing plants.
okay, so I found Swamp Rock XL01, which is pretty much white, and it has a very flat top to it, so you can work for rock floors if you need rock floors.
oh wow, that's huge.
Yeah, and it's nice and big. Let's
Yeah,
see what it looks
the-
like
the
on the
X-
underside.
The XL props, those are some ridiculously large things.
Yeah, you could build a lot with that.
Whoa. This one room in the ice cave is huge.
Okay. I totally got something for Dr. Chaotica, so I'm just finishing this up.
Okay, send it my way.
Oh,
I'll
wait a
post
minute.
it.
Then he'll need minions, of course.
Oh
Satan's
yeah, I'll have to
robot.
design this too.
Wait, do we have the ability to build Satan's robot?
Luds off!
We'd have to change
Prime
it.
the Death Ray!
Okay, we got a new rank option, or one I haven't seen before. Falcon.
That's a rank
It's-
option?
It's in Romulan dual shoulder pads. It's called Falcon, and it's pretty nifty. And I'm tempted to use it because it fits well. But right now I've got to move. Holy crap! Judge Cat just pushed over my computer monitor. Like, seriously.
Oh, no.
Like, just pushing. I had to just stop it from collapsing on me. Cat, I'm going to have to put you out of the room, and you're going to not be happy with that.
I used to have one of them cats. And then I didn't, and I wasn't inclined to get another one.
Cats are fun when they don't break things.
They are fun. They are just not always fun.
AEI Judge Cat has retreated to her... basically I've trained her, so if I get mad at her, she goes to the one spot where she knows that she's safe and I won't come after her. So it's her security spot. It is a paper grocery bag that's just on the floor in the corner, and she hides in there like a little turtle. It's her safety spot. I have trained a cat to be like a turtle.
Training cats, people often overstate how difficult it is.
You just got to convince the cat that they want to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, it's a different style, but there's progress you can make there.
So I think the hard part of doing a Captain Proton mission would be doing Captain Proton's rocket ship.
Yeah,
potentially.
You don't have anything rocket ship shaped.
What
Not
I'm thinking?
much.
Oh wait! I got an idea. It is just a piece of, like, he goes up. It's like, we need my rocket ship. You go around the corner, and it's just completely slagged. It's already been destroyed.
No,
Because our debris things are quite black or gray.
Oh, but a lot of them are. Some do have orange.
like
bits.
the
You just gotta
flames
watch out for
coming out of them or something.
that. Well,
Yeah.
some have black smoke, and that's fine. It's just some of them also have orange rusty bits. But some don't. So
For some reason, I was thinking some of them by default are on fire.
not fire, but black smoke.
I think you're right on that one.
Almost done. So giving him he needs an epic belt. Oh, that'll do.
Ooh, this is interesting. We do have some fed interiors that have almost no color.
I was going to
See,
say there's at
almost,
least
because-
one wall I can think of. But I mean, in the case of Captain
I mean
Proton...
like complete pre-built in interiors. Because this one here that I'm looking at, there's a crate that has this little glowy thing on it, and then there's this wall console that has like feeble pastel colors that are like almost non-existent.
Oh, almost there.
Yeah. Because the ambient wall lighting in this one is actually like a slightly yellowish white. And only slightly yellowish. And all of the walls are this flat gray color. And the floor, of course.
So
Oh wait, when we get into the main room, there is actually several wall panels that are full color, but you could hide those.
I think you would definitely have to keep your map sizes down because...
What on earth is that? Okay,
Well,
this console bug that they introduced in season 13, it does some very bizarre things sometimes.
You mean the one where the textures aren't lined up properly?
Right, that. Because this one I'm looking at here, I'm not sure what this texture is for, but it's like showing pieces of a texture that don't look like they're meant to be used on this console. Now, I'm going to say that this is actually one of those rare bugs that does not affect everything equally, because I'm looking at this thing here that's apparently like a Klingon wall console, and it is not flashing and stuff. Then again, I'm actually wondering if it's actually a proper console in the sense we normally think of, or if it's simply a wall decoration.
All right, I'm going to try and expand this out. I think I'm onto something.
And cabbing.
This is your Chaotica.
That's what your cat said.
Yep.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
That is pretty good.
Hang on, loading it up real quick. So
Yeah, still trying to adjust the gauntlets. I'm going to take those off. A slight bit of color to them. Those ones, though. Okay, I changed the gauntlets a little bit, but that is basically the idea.
Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to screenshot this map so that you guys can get a good look at it. Yeah, so...
All right, Dragoon, Alpine Rocks LO1. Works good for a rock wall if you need one.
Okay. I'm trying to kind of build a scene here and see if
Okay, this is the Bomar 3 post-interior map.
Yeah, and what you could do is cover up those parts that do have a little color on them.
I mean, that one part there, that is like the most vivid color I've ever seen in any map Cryptic has ever made. But it's just this flat wall thing that you could easily hide.
Yeah.
So, Dragon, keep in mind is that this, my Dr. Not Chaotica, he's in the same project file as the Space Pirate. And I kind of did a similar thing for both of them. So these guys are probably going to show up in the 26th century.
That'll be fun.
As together. I mean, they're going to be at least background NPCs. So. Dr. Kozag.
Wow, I just noticed something. The bridge of a Jem'Hadar attack ship. When you look at the image preview for it, it's this little tiny postage stamp sized thing hiding behind the scale bit. Even when you zoom in all the way, it's only a small part of the screen.
It's probably about the smallest map we have access to.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was getting at. I said I mean, it's literally a small room, and that's it.
Time to make a bucket minion. Finding the time limit here, though. See, sufficient bucket shape.
I think we can make it.
Well, I got to design a costume in the time. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, no, there we go. Bucket. Terran Task Force. No, it's got lights. Temporal battlesuit? It's a bucket, but let's see if I can make the lights go away.
Omega Force?
Oh, I blew up the asset limit.
Oh, no.
Badly.
Okay. This works for bucket. Temporal battlesuit.
Oh, you mean like for helmet things?
Yeah, I needed something that could actually, pass as a bucket someone has put on their head.
What exactly does the Terran Task Force helmet look like?
It's bucket-like, but it has brightly colored lights that you can't get around.
Oh, like the glowing eye hole things?
Yeah. The temporal battlesuit works just fine.
It looks cheaper, too.
Well,
remember, we're talking about, low-budget sci-fi.
Well, what I was thinking of is like making Satan's robot.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do. That's the bucket.
Okay, I think I got it back under the asset limit. Let's fire up and see how it looks. Yeah, you definitely can. You have to keep spaces small when you're building everything custom.
Welcome to my world.
Wow. Okay, so I just took a quick look at the TOS bridge just to see. I mean, because in the little preview thing, it looks like it has very little color in it, and wow, it is one of the most colorful maps.
Welcome to the '60s, where they had just discovered color.
Oh yeah.
They wanted everyone to know that they film things in color.
It does, I believe, have the film grain overlay.
Yep, that it does. One another thing I noticed is that it suffers from that console bug. I'm not sure if I should say this is badly or not badly, but it definitely has a problem with it because of the fact that it has. Well, the one thing that people have pointed out in this is that for this bridge setup, each of the different panels has something they're supposed to be, and it's just kind of like having all of them randomly alternating between them, which is kind of weird looking.
Well, on the plus side, I mean, Captain Proton would always appear to be on a shot on a soundstage, so their areas were rarely all that big. But it definitely feels right now like you're in a black and white world.
This is God.
Wait,
what have we committed ourselves
to? As a map overlay?
Nope.
No,
we haven't.
But it'd be cool. We could.
Yeah. It's one of those Agents of Yesterday things. So, and we just haven't gotten that stuff.
It's like do 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 do.
The robot is coming along pretty well.
Pax correctly points out that you forgot to change Y coordinates on some of your assets there.
Yeah, I know, but I was gonna still. I mean, it
Rookie
as a proof
mistake.
of concept. It's
the difference between a rough draft and a finished design.
Yeah, it's a proof of concept, and it's working fine as a proof of concept.
We have successfully demonstrated how
you can make a black and white mission, or as close as we can get in the factory.
Yeah. Well, basically, we have demonstrated what Greendragoon will now have to make in full.
Who knows? Maybe we'll do one of those live streams where we build a map or build a mission.
Yeah, we're going to have to completely build this out. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll start trying to work maybe a little bit on a plot line. Maybe we'll find some old sci-fi, get some ideas.
We might
Flash
be able to
Gordon.
I was just going to say subvert
Everybody
it a
knows
little
some
bit.
good ones.
I mean, Captain Proton was really kind of like a spoof of the old Flash Gordon TV show.
Yeah.
We can't get the rights to Flash Gordon, so we got to use this.
Well, I mean, it can always be
or we didn't
Gordon.
want to go get the rights for it, so we built this. And I'll have to play that old Elite Force mission.
Ooh, yes, Cave 01. It is kind of brownish, but a very, very dark, more gray than brown, really.
Pax says that you essentially built a cemetery. One of a creepy old cemetery.
I could do that. I think we got some tombstones that are pretty.
We
gray.
do have tombstones.
They're also gray, so bonus.
Kind of tan, but I think they would still work.
But yeah, Cave Interior 01. It has almost no color whatsoever.
Yeah, it's still pretty brown.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's brown, but it's.
I mean, I think you were actually onto something with the ice interiors. I mean, how did they look?
Well, like I said, the ice interiors have that annoying issue of the glowing plants.
All of them? What about the empty one?
Well, I didn't look at all of them. I looked at one of them, and glowing plants.
Because, I mean, with these generic maps, there's always one that's completely empty. You could do it for, like, the base of Chaotica or something. But we'd have to get around likeness rights.
Just make up your own
Okay,
characters.
you're right about those glowing plants. We can cover those up, though. The son of Chaotica. Because he quote-unquote dies in the... or the final episode. Yeah. So...
Well, it follows, if Chaotica had a bride, then he must have a son.
Well, also there's the whole thing of... since Chaotica seems to be inspired by Ming the Merciless, and Ming the Merciless somehow never truly dies, no matter how often people try to kill him. See, one of the amusing things with Ming the Merciless is that they never actually explain how it is that he keeps coming back. They actually kind of make it a plot point that no one actually knows, because they've never managed to discover the secret of what makes him seemingly immortal.
Oh, here you go. Here you go. So you start the mission as a holodeck program that you and your guys are going to play for fun. And when Chaotica shows up, you have somebody say, that doesn't look anything like Chaotica. And then the next guy says, oh yeah, they recast the actor in season 2.
Could work, I guess. Another thing, I guess she says that since it's a holodeck program, you could always just say that the emitters are out of alignment or something. I don't know.
Or no, even better. The creator of the holodeck program couldn't get the likeness rights to use Chaotica, so they had to make a replacement that looks nothing like him.
That'd be funny. Like, also,
or is that a little too meta?
I'd say, is copyright still a thing in the 25th century?
I don't know.
Oh, no. I got one. It is a matter of holographic rights. So the original holodeck program
did decline to allow its image to be used.
I don't know. I like your first one. I like that it leads back to the idea that this was once a TV show.
Yeah.
Mostly, I was just going to go for the Son of Chaotica thing, because I mean that's totally a trope.
Something that, yeah.
That would be the goal for this mission: is to intentionally work in as many tropes as we can.
Yes.
Ooh, maybe have him get possessed by the Chaotica.
We need to have.
What if we could also have it so that
damsel in distress tied to train tracks?
Well, with death ray pointed at her.
Where did that particular one come from? Because I'm trying to remember any movie I've ever actually seen that in.
I think it comes from like really, really old TV.
No, it's actually, there is this old silent movie that was kind of like its leading bit. I don't remember what it was called, but I mean, there was one of the...
Was it Charlie Chaplin?
No, it wasn't Charlie Chaplin. I follow silent movie gifs, so I remember seeing, like, this was big movie, big actress, and it was basically the sort of the highlight of the movie was seeing her in peril with a speeding locomotive. Using trains was a really big thing back in the day. So this was just sort of...
Yeah, I guess back in the day that was a way of saying, hey, look, we actually used a budget for this movie.
Yeah, I mean, because it was basically, we had big
a little production value out of it, yeah.
Yeah, because like a lot of the classic Buster Keaton gags, and a lot of like really big, like the sort of the epic sort of physical comedy stuff involved trains. So it was just new technology. So anyway, got a bucket minion coming your guys' way. I was able to finish it up to some satisfaction.
Well, I just decided to check out the Dyson interior, and if not for the fact that everything lighted glows purple, it would actually be pretty good. Because the actual like walls and floors and stuff don't have any color to them, really. It's just that the lighting is all so bright and purple.
I like the use of the temporal helmet because it does have that very retro look to it.
Yeah, that's true. It's like, what did people back in the 60s think futuristic technology should look like?
I would almost go even more low tech with the underlying suit and make it look like it's just like some cloth that a costume.
There was a really good, okay, so the Lucari armor is perfect for that, except for the chest piece, which I can't cover up completely. You can color it. You can actually color it. You just can't color it black and white.
Oh man, I just noticed something about the Dyson Sphere interior map we have. It has the Dyson ground.
Out the windows?
When you look outside the window, you see the floor of the Dyson Sphere.
Don't think you can build outside the windows, though. If I recall correctly. I think that's something I might have tried. Like, there's no room to do that.
It's kind of weird, though, because when you look up, you see this, like, the standard backdrop. I don't know if we actually have the ability to put the proper sky in.
No, we don't. You'd have to find a sky that kind of matched it.
Okay.
Kind of matched it.
Variant 2 coming your guys' way.
Okay. So this one room here with the giant blob-shaped things, I'm guessing this is like the Fleet Spire thing, and this is the room that you may or may not have unlocked in your Fleet Spire.
Dragoon's hit on something good.
I especially like the cables. That's a nice touch.
Dragoon has also hit on something good, which is the floaters that you can actually attach as a backpack.
Yeah, and you have some kind of color control over it. Well, you've also got some color control, so you can actually make it all black and white.
I did not know that.
I forgot to do a backpack on mine.
Oh, yeah, because, I mean, a Captain Proton mission would be a perfect thing to do jetpacks on.
Exactly.
The henchmen have jetpacks, too.
Sadly, they can't use them for some reason. Because Captain Proton activates his anti-jetpack ray.
Yeah, they still all have them. They're just very incompetent with it. Or at least some do. Those are going to be the variants.
Oh, okay. This is something interesting that I'd never noticed before. The ceiling in the bar area in the Dyson interior, it's like this sky field thing, except that the section of it that's being displayed changes depending on which direction you're facing. So if you just stand there and have your character constantly pivot, it's like the ceiling is moving in the opposite direction of your character or something.
I'm just going to throw in one screenshot real quick. Or Dragoon might be able to. Yeah, okay, so you guys are showing off. Yeah, bucket number 2. So, guy in standard pants. And then mysterious abs on the robot design. So, slightly lower budget.
Because actors in the 60s didn't have abs to show off, so had to put them on the suit.
I can't use a privateer harness because it's got those stupid gold things. Let's see, what is it?
You can also do... Oh, I know. The first... Yeah, you're going to have to worry about color selection on this, because now everything that you have now is going to be orange. You won't be able to change it. But right at the top, the Hizari ones. Hizari Bandolier, you've got the one with the gun. Yeah, the one with the gun.
That was the one that I used on my design that I linked to. Yeah, because the gun is nice. It's
ray gunny.
Ray gun, yeah. Not ray gun, ray gun.
Here's a question: is there any energy or any race that uses an energy weapon type that's white?
Tetrian, Hirogen.
Hirogen.
Well, they use blue.
It's like a very.
It might be as close as you can get.
I mean, because
Vodwar. They're white.
Oh.
You're white.
Also,
they shoot more like projectiles.
Hirogen have this thing though that it's like that old school sci-fi thing where you make the energy rays look as jagged as possible just to make them interesting or something. Yeah, which is exactly how Tetrian weapons look in the game.
Yeah.
I think Hirogen do some special things though that you probably wouldn't want.
Oh yeah, the Hirogen captain mobs use a hollow emitter that spawns Hirogen.
Well, Vaudouar will also do a few drone effects, and those might have some color, but maybe not too bad.
Ooh, you can build in the black space of the Dyson map. It's just that there's not a whole lot of it.
Oh, there was also that one last bit of Foundry news. We did get a couple of new hairstyles added along with the rest of the game. So these are the half-shaved ones. The female, which is based on the I follow her on Twitter. Completely blanking on her name. She visited Cryptic, big cosplayer, and her NPC is now the Drazana Taylor. So I'd like to give a shout out, but completely blanking.
Can't remember her name. We got her hairstyle, which is nice.
Yeah, so we got her hairstyle, and then males also have a variant of their own. Different. It's kind of the same idea, different principle. Yeah, I think it actually looks pretty good. It's just shaved oddly around the ears, so it fits, I think, best on alien PCs or alien NPCs. Oh, to the Twitter.
Oh, I just noticed something hilarious. You remember how I was looking at the Dyson map? Well, I found out what happens if you jump off of the walkable geometry. It turns out that there's an invisible floor that's only a little bit below the actual floor. So you basically end up walking in air and staring down at the stuff like hundreds of miles below you.
The cosplayer's name in question that we have the hair of is Becca Knoll. So she visited Cryptic recently. They did a interview with her, and her classic hairstyle is now in the Foundry.
Oh, is she the one where they were talking about how she did something that was inspired by the look of the Stoiconians in that TV show?
I believe so. Also, the one I've been following along with Greendragoon here, I thought the privateer upper uniform looked really good.
Yeah, it definitely does. There's several others that look, sort of like Earth kind of jackets, like the prisoner uniform.
I liked the sort of the privateer one also has the sort of the upper part undone, so I think that's would fit sort of the dashing Flash Gordon / Rocketeer type character.
One thing that would be kind of interesting is making a mission where you actually have a reason to have people stand on the floor of this map, just because it's a rather spectacular view, just looking down at all of the gigantic fleet spires.
So I'm trying to remember, we actually have a hairstyle based off of Tom Paris.
Old Tom Paris.
Yep, that's close. Well, that's close.
We have a Harry Kim hairstyle. I know that one.
Yep, that's
also
yeah, it's on the bottom of the list. It's like upper swept, something like that. We've also got the Doctor's bald haircut too.
I got the Harry Kim one.
Yeah, so you can make the President of Earth.
Yeah. So there is an NPC in the Delta Quadrant Command that has the 7 of 9 hairstyle, but we don't have access to that as players or in the Foundry.
I think we've got definitely a good beginning here. But we are at our time limit, so we're going to exit the world of Captain Proton today and return to the real world.
Okay.
Dragoon, if you want to put our contact info.
All right. If you want to reach us by email, we can be reached at foundryroundtable@live.com. We are also on Twitter at Foundry Roundtab. Drogan can be reached at Drogan1701. Duncan can be reached at GorgonOps_SSF. Mark can be reached at Markhawkman. And I, of course, can be reached at Greendragoon.
All right. Well, we will say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.